Welcome to English Lane, your channel to learn English through real stories of great leaders. Today, we will explore the complete life story of Dr. Mohammad Mustafa, the current Prime Minister of Palestine. A man who rose from the heart of conflict to become a global voice of peace and economic progress. From this story, English learners will learn natural spoken English, new vocabulary, and clear pronunciation through real-life storytelling. It will also help you practice listening comprehension for long-form content, something essential for advanced English learners. So stay tuned till the end of this full journey through the inspiring life of Dr. Mohammad Mustafa. A story of hope, knowledge, and leadership. Childhood and early inspirations. Mohammad Mustafa was born in the West Bank, a land where history and struggle live side by side. He grew up seeing the silent pain of occupation, soldiers on the streets, checkpoints, and people waiting for freedom that seemed so far away. But, in the middle of this hardship, his parents taught him something powerful. Education is freedom. They told him, books can open doors that borders can't close. As a little boy, Mohammed used to watch his father reading late into the night, learning about economics and world affairs. His mother was a teacher, and she inspired him to dream beyond fear. He was quiet, serious, and curious. The kind of child who always asked questions about how nations grow and how people can build their lives even in chaos. His early school days were tough. Electricity often went off, books were limited, and schools sometimes had to close due to conflict. But nothing could stop him from learning. He would walk miles to attend school, and at night he would study under a small lamp, dreaming of helping his country stand tall one day. As a teenager, Mohammed became deeply aware of his people's suffering. He saw how unemployment and poverty were destroying dreams. That's when he decided. He wouldn't just dream of peace. He would build it through knowledge, through economy, through development. That thought became his lifelong mission. Journey to higher education. After finishing high school, Mohammad Mustafa earned a scholarship to study abroad, something very rare for Palestinian students at that time. He traveled to the United States, where he studied economics at George Washington University. It was his first time leaving his homeland, and the journey changed him forever. In Washington, he experienced freedom, diversity, and opportunity, things he had never seen before. But he also felt the pain of being away from home. While other students were focused on their careers, Mohammed kept thinking of the streets of Ramallah, of children who couldn't go to school because of war. He told his friends, "One day, I will go back. I will use what I learn here to rebuild my country." He was an excellent student. Professors admired his discipline and his ability to connect economic theory with real-world social problems. He completed his PhD in economics, writing his thesis on economic development under political instability, a topic that perfectly reflected the Palestinian reality. During this time, he also learned fluent English, global communication, and leadership, skills that would later help him in diplomacy and governance. By the time he completed his PhD, he had developed a clear philosophy. A nation can only be truly free when it is economically strong. Childhood and early inspirations. Mohammad Mustafa was born in the West Bank, a land where history and struggle live side by side. He grew up seeing the silent pain of occupation, soldiers on the streets, checkpoints, and people waiting for freedom that seemed so far away. But in the middle of this hardship, his parents taught him something powerful. Education is freedom. They told him, books can open doors that borders can't close. As a little boy, Mohammed used to watch his father reading late into the night, learning about economics and world affairs. His mother was a teacher, and she inspired him to dream beyond fear. He was quiet, serious, and curious, the kind of child who always asked questions about how nations grow and how people can build their lives even in chaos. His early school days were tough. Electricity often went off, books were limited, and schools sometimes had to close due to conflict. But nothing could stop him from learning. He would walk miles to attend school, and at night he would study under a small lamp, dreaming of helping his country stand tall one day. As a teenager, Mohammed became deeply aware of his people's suffering. He saw how unemployment and poverty were destroying dreams. That's when he decided. He wouldn't just dream of peace. He would build it through knowledge, through economy, through development. That thought became his lifelong mission. Journey to higher education. After finishing high school, Mohammad Mustafa earned a scholarship to study abroad, something very rare for Palestinian students at that time. He traveled to the United States, where he studied economics at George Washington University. It was his first time leaving his homeland, and the journey changed him forever. In Washington, he experienced freedom, diversity, and opportunity. Things he had never seen before. But he also felt the pain of being away from home. While other students were focused on their careers, Mohammed kept thinking of the streets of Ramallah, of children who couldn't go to school because of war. He told his friends, "One day, I will go back. I will use what I learn here to rebuild my country." He was an excellent student. Professors admired his discipline and his ability to connect economic theory with real-world social problems. He completed his PhD in economics, writing his thesis on economic development under political instability, a topic that perfectly reflected the Palestinian reality. During this time, he also learned fluent English, global communication, and leadership, skills that would later help him in diplomacy and governance. By the time he completed his PhD, he had developed a clear philosophy. A nation can only be truly free when it is economically strong. The economist who returned home. After his studies, Mohammad Mustafa had opportunities to stay abroad, high-paying jobs, comfort, and stability. But his heart pulled him back to Palestine. He wanted to apply everything he had learned for the development of his homeland. He joined the World Bank, where he worked on regional projects across the Middle East. His work involved analyzing the economies of countries in crisis and helping rebuild them through investment and sustainable development. There, he gained a reputation as a calm and intelligent problem solver, someone who believed in data, not drama. After several years, he returned to Palestine to take a key role in the Palestinian Authority's economic planning. He started building frameworks for job creation, industrial zones, and business reforms. He believed that Palestinians didn't just need aid, they needed opportunity. He would often say, "Don't give us fish. Teach us how to build our own boats." His vision was clear: to create a self-reliant Palestinian economy, less dependent on donations, and more focused on productivity, education, and entrepreneurship. Chapter 4. the Palestine Investment Fund, and national development. One of Dr. Mustafa's most remarkable contributions was leading the Palestine Investment Fund, PIF. When he took charge, the fund was small, uncertain, and under pressure. He transformed it into a national powerhouse. He launched new projects in energy, housing, agriculture, telecommunications, and renewable resources. Through these projects, he created thousands of jobs for young Palestinians. He made sure the PIF was transparent, efficient, and accountable, a rare thing in the region. Under his leadership, solar energy projects started in remote villages, giving power to schools and hospitals. He focused on sustainable growth, empowering youth and women entrepreneurs. He wanted every Palestinian to feel ownership of their country's economic future. Through his vision, PIF became a symbol of hope, proof that Palestine could stand on its own feet. International investors began to notice Palestine not as a land of conflict, but as a land of potential. His leadership gave the world a new image of Palestinian capability, one built on intellect, not instability. The road to political leadership. Dr. Mohammad Mustafa's impact in economics made him a trusted voice in politics. President Mahmoud Abbas noticed his ability to bring results without corruption or ego. Soon, Mohammad Mustafa was appointed as Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Economy. In government, he continued his economic reforms, pushing for transparent policies, digital systems for trade, and fair tax structures. He wasn't a typical politician. He was a technocrat, a man of logic, professionalism, and quiet determination. Even his political opponents respected him for his integrity. He worked on Gaza reconstruction programs, international partnerships, and development strategies that would strengthen the West Bank and Gaza economies together. His calm nature in meetings, his ability to negotiate, and his balanced view of progress made him a bridge between political rivals. By this time, he had become known worldwide as a leader of reason, someone who believed in peace through progress. Journalists described him as the economist who could save Palestine. Becoming the Prime Minister. It was the year 2024. Palestine was going through one of the hardest times in its history. War had destroyed homes, hunger spread through Gaza, and thousands of families were displaced. The economy was almost collapsing, and people had lost trust in the system. In this difficult hour, President Mahmoud Abbas made an important decision. He appointed Dr. Mohammad Mustafa as the Prime Minister of Palestine. The world reacted with curiosity and hope. Here was a man not from a political family, not from a military background, but from an academic, professional, and economic world. He was known for calm thinking, honesty, and integrity. When he took office, he didn't make loud promises or big political speeches. Instead, his first words were, "We will rebuild our nation, brick by brick, job by job, dream by dream." His first steps as Prime Minister were to organize the chaos, stabilize the government, ensure salaries for civil servants, restore energy and food supply to Gaza, and build trust among divided factions. He held long meetings with experts, not politicians. He believed the country needed action, not arguments. For the first time in many years, people began to feel that a leader was truly listening to their pain. Facing the storm, challenges of leadership. Mohammad Mustafa's leadership soon faced an ocean of challenges. Palestine was divided between the West Bank and Gaza, ruled by different authorities, the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah and Hamas in Gaza. To rebuild the nation, he needed to bring unity between these regions. But unity in Palestine is never easy. Every decision faced pressure from political rivals, foreign powers, and economic limitations. He had to deal with mass unemployment, infrastructure collapse, rising debt, and foreign aid dependency. Yet, he kept calm. He once said, "A leader cannot control the storm, but he can guide the ship." He began by reforming the financial system, reducing waste, introducing transparency in spending, and opening communication between ministries. He focused on youth employment, creating new tech training centers, and offering startup support for young entrepreneurs. He encouraged students to study STEM fields, science, technology, and business, so that Palestine could move toward a knowledge-based economy. Instead of only waiting for aid, he called for local empowerment. Every Palestinian can be part of rebuilding this nation, through work, through education, through unity. Despite threats and criticism, he didn't stop. His calm leadership reminded people of economists like Mahathir Mohamad of Malaysia or Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, visionaries who built nations through discipline and innovation. Rebuilding Gaza, the human mission. One of Dr. Mohammad Mustafa's biggest challenges was rebuilding Gaza after years of destruction. Entire neighborhoods were gone, schools and hospitals were reduced to dust. But he refused to let Gaza die. He personally visited the area several times, walking through ruins, meeting children, listening to mothers, and promising one thing: hope. He launched a massive Gaza reconstruction program. It focused on 3 key areas: rebuilding essential infrastructure, homes, hospitals, schools, restoring electricity and water supply through local solar projects, creating immediate jobs for local workers so that people could earn again. He invited engineers, economists, and volunteers from around the world to help. Even under constant threat and shortage of resources, the work continued. Each rebuilt school became a symbol of survival. He said, "Education is our resistance. Every child who learns is a soldier of peace." He introduced low-cost housing projects, small loans for business women, and digital literacy programs for young people. Gradually, Gaza began to breathe again. His leadership didn't erase the scars of war, but it gave people a reason to keep living and believing in tomorrow, building bridges with the world. Mohammad Mustafa understood that Palestine could not grow alone. He needed the world, not as a donor, but as a partner. He began building relationships with international organizations, neighboring Arab countries, and global investors. He met leaders from Qatar, Jordan, Egypt, Turkey, and the European Union, asking for collaboration rather than charity. He presented Palestine not as a land of conflict, but as a nation ready for progress. He spoke in international conferences, highlighting the talent of Palestinian youth, the creativity of its entrepreneurs, and the strength of its women. His speeches were intelligent, emotional, and deeply human. He didn't use anger or blame. He used vision and reason. He would often say, "Palestine does not want pity. It wants partnership." Under his diplomacy, small but meaningful changes started. International businesses opened offices in Ramallah. Scholarships were given to Palestinian students. New projects in renewable energy and digital trade began with foreign collaboration. Even in global forums, he reminded the world that peace and prosperity are linked. No economy can grow under occupation, and no occupation can last against the will of a people determined to rise. Through this, Mohammad Mustafa became the face of a new Palestine, peaceful, educated, and forward-looking. Humanity beyond politics. Beyond his titles and achievements, Mohammad Mustafa remained a human being, compassionate and humble. He spent weekends visiting hospitals, schools, and refugee camps. He never traveled with large security convoys. He preferred to meet people directly. In hospitals, he would sit with wounded children and ask them what they wanted to be when they grew up. One small boy once told him, "I want to be a builder, so I can rebuild my home." That line stayed with him forever. He made sure that government programs focused on education, healthcare, and mental health, things that help heal a nation's soul. He believed that political power means nothing if it does not improve daily life for ordinary citizens. He often reminded his ministers, "Leadership is not about the chair you sit on. It is about the people who trust you." He launched special programs for orphans and women widowed by war, ensuring they received financial support and education opportunities. Under his vision, hundreds of community centers opened across Palestine, teaching English, computer literacy, and basic business training. For the outside world, he was an economist and prime minister. But for the Palestinian people, he became a fatherly figure, the man who didn't shout slogans, but quietly worked for their dignity, voice of Palestine in the world. As Prime Minister, Mohammad Mustafa became the international face of modern Palestine. He attended world forums, from the United Nations to the World Economic Forum in Davos, carrying the Palestinian flag not as a symbol of war, but as a sign of hope. In his speeches, he didn't speak of anger or revenge. He spoke of humanity, equality, and shared destiny. He would often begin his talks with a simple line: "We are a small nation, but our dreams are not small." He urged the world to see Palestine beyond conflict headlines. He talked about Palestinian scientists, engineers, doctors, and teachers who were shaping a new generation despite the hardship. His calm, academic tone made diplomats listen. His emotional honesty made them care. At a conference in Geneva, he said, "Every nation deserves to live with dignity. Development is a human right, not a political gift." His words were quoted by newspapers around the world. Slowly, Palestine began to reappear on global discussions, not just as a victim, but as a participant in development and peace. Under his leadership, several new trade and cultural partnerships were signed with European and Asian countries. He transformed Palestine's image from a place of despair to a place of resilience and knowledge, reforming education, the foundation of freedom. Mohammad Mustafa believed that education was the most powerful weapon to change Palestine's future. He often said, "We can lose buildings, but we must never lose minds." He launched a national education reform plan that focused on three things: updating school curriculums with science, English, and technology, training teachers to use modern teaching methods, expanding access to higher education and scholarships abroad. He introduced digital learning platforms so that even children in refugee camps could learn online. For the first time, students in Gaza and the West Bank could connect with global education resources through tablets and local Wi-Fi centers. He also established partnerships with international universities, allowing Palestinian students to study economics, medicine, and engineering abroad, then return home to serve their country. He told young people, "If we want freedom, we must first earn intellectual freedom." He made English learning a priority, saying that global communication was a bridge to opportunity. His initiatives produced a new wave of confident, tech-savvy youth ready to lead the next generation of Palestine, empowering women and youth. Dr. Mustafa's belief in equality wasn't just theory, it was action. He often said, "A nation cannot walk on one leg. Men and women must rise together." He launched several programs that empowered Palestinian women, from microfinance for female entrepreneurs to leadership training workshops. He supported working mothers by providing child care centers and encouraging businesses to hire women in managerial positions. Many of these women later became key figures in government, education, and health sectors. For the youth, he created innovation hubs and startup incubators. He invited international mentors to train young Palestinians in app development, digital marketing, and renewable energy projects. He believed the youth of Palestine were not only victims of war, but architects of the future. Every year, he hosted the Palestine Youth Innovation Summit, where young inventors presented ideas that could change their society. From clean energy solutions to AI-based healthcare tools. These movements gave new hope. A generation that once grew up seeing tanks and checkpoints now dreamed of laptops, classrooms, and inventions, diplomacy, and the pursuit of peace. No matter how successful his economic or social reforms were, Mohammad Mustafa knew that real progress required peace. He tirelessly worked to build diplomatic bridges between divided groups, between Fatah and Hamas, and between Palestine and Israel. He wasn't naive. He knew the history, the politics, and the pain. But he also knew that endless conflict destroys both sides. He said, "Peace is not a sign of weakness. It is the highest form of courage." He participated in negotiations led by regional mediators, urging all sides to protect civilians, reopen humanitarian routes, and allow reconstruction without restriction. He met with global leaders, from the UN Secretary General to the President of Turkey, explaining that the only way forward was dialogue and mutual respect. Even during bombings, he spoke on live TV urging calm, not anger. His voice became a source of moral strength for his people. The world began to see him as a leader of peace, someone who represented reason amid chaos. He wasn't just fighting for Palestinian independence, he was fighting for human dignity. The philosophy of leadership. Behind all his success, Mohammad Mustafa had a unique philosophy of leadership. He believed a leader should serve, not rule. He used to tell his team, "If you seek power, you lose purpose. If you serve people, power will follow naturally." He lived a simple life. No luxury convoys, no personal propaganda. He preferred to spend time in small villages, asking locals about their daily problems. He personally monitored development projects to ensure every dollar was used properly. His office walls were filled with photos of school children, not politicians. He said, "They remind me why I'm here." He followed a disciplined daily routine, starting his day before sunrise with a quiet walk and reading reports. He didn't believe in shouting orders, he believed in inspiring action. His leadership style was similar to great reformers, pragmatic like Lee Kuan Yew, humble like Nelson Mandela, and visionary like Mahathir Mohamad. But his context was different. He was leading under occupation, under crisis, under pressure, and yet he kept his humanity intact. He once said in an interview, "I am not leading from a palace. I am leading from the heart of a wounded nation. My goal is to heal it." Those words became a symbol of his legacy, leadership born from love, not ambition. Diplomacy and international relations. As Prime Minister, Mohammad Mustafa also had to represent Palestine on the world stage. He met with presidents, prime ministers, and global organizations to share the voice of his people. His diplomatic style was calm, logical, and full of dignity. He didn't believe in confrontation. He believed in communication. He used the power of intelligent dialogue to earn respect from leaders who had once ignored Palestine's voice. At global conferences, his words carried hope. He often said, "Palestine's strength is not in its weapons, but in its wisdom." Through his efforts, international cooperation slowly began to grow, and new countries started showing interest in economic partnership with Palestine. The struggle for unity. Even while handling international affairs, Mohammad Mustafa knew that the biggest challenge was at home, the division between Gaza and the West Bank. This separation had caused years of political tension and national pain. He began working silently to rebuild bridges between the divided factions. He invited leaders from different sides, encouraged community dialogue, and pushed for common national goals. He knew unity would not come in a day, but he believed every meeting, every handshake, every shared project could be a step toward it. For him, unity was not politics. It was the soul of the nation, empowering the next generation. Mohammad Mustafa always believed the real strength of Palestine lies in its youth. He created new educational programs, startup incubators, and training centers for students and young professionals. His message to them was clear: don't wait for change. Become the change. He believed that knowledge, not anger, was the most powerful weapon against occupation. He visited universities, met young entrepreneurs, and encouraged innovation. Thousands of students found inspiration in his vision and began to dream bigger. Under his leadership, the idea of a smart Palestine started to take shape, a nation led by technology, education, and creativity. Personal life and character. Behind his powerful position, Mohammad Mustafa remained a humble and grounded man. He never chased fame. He believed leadership was a responsibility, not a privilege. At home, he was known as a calm and family-loving person. He preferred reading, writing, and moments of quiet reflection. His colleagues said he treated everyone equally, from high officials to ordinary citizens. His discipline, honesty, and kindness earned him deep respect from people around the world. Many diplomats described him as a man who listens before he speaks. This humility made him different from most politicians. He was a leader guided by purpose, not ego. Legacy of hope and future vision. Mohammad Mustafa's story is still being written. As Prime Minister, he continues to build hope through action. His vision is to see Palestine free, prosperous, and united, a country where education replaces conflict and opportunity replaces despair. His life teaches that change is possible even in the darkest times if one leads with wisdom and heart. For English learners, his story helps to understand powerful vocabulary, expressions of leadership, and emotional storytelling. For listeners everywhere, his journey reminds us that real leaders don't shout. they inspire. Mohammad Mustafa's legacy will remain as a symbol of dignity, patience, and faith in a better tomorrow. Continuing development initiatives. Even after becoming a well-known leader, Mohammad Mustafa never stopped working. He launched ongoing development projects across Palestine, from building new schools and hospitals to introducing clean energy solutions in villages. He focused on agriculture, technology, and small industries to create sustainable jobs. His goal was simple: empower every citizen to contribute to the nation's growth. He encouraged citizens to take part in shaping their economy, believing that collective effort creates stronger foundations than foreign aid alone. International collaboration and peace building. Mohammad Mustafa actively sought partnerships with global organizations, neighboring countries, and international investors. He emphasized collaboration, not charity. By connecting Palestine with international experts, he brought knowledge, resources, and training programs to local communities. At the same time, he continued efforts to reduce conflict through dialogue, negotiation, and humanitarian agreements. His approach showed that leadership is about both nation-building and relationship-building, turning adversaries into partners through patience and diplomacy. Focus on education and technology. Education remained at the core of his vision. Mohammad Mustafa invested heavily in digital classrooms, libraries, and online platforms, so that children and young adults could learn even in conflict-affected areas. Technology centers were created to teach coding, robotics, and entrepreneurship. He encouraged students to innovate, start businesses, and dream beyond traditional limits. By blending education with technology, he prepared Palestine for a future where knowledge becomes the main resource for development. His work inspired a generation to think globally while acting locally. Humanitarian work and social responsibility. Beyond economics and politics, Mohammad Mustafa devoted himself to humanitarian causes. He launched programs to support widows, orphans, and families affected by war. Health initiatives, clean water projects, and mental health support became priorities under his guidance. He visited hospitals, schools, and refugee camps regularly to understand people's needs personally. His philosophy was clear: leadership is measured by how well you care for the most vulnerable. Through these efforts, he became not only a political leader, but also a symbol of empathy and human dignity. Legacy and vision for the future. Mohammad Mustafa's journey continues to inspire. His life is a lesson in patience, wisdom, and service. He has shown that even in the most difficult circumstances, progress is possible through education, unity, and innovation. He dreams of a Palestine where every child can study, every young person can work, and every citizen can live with dignity. His story offers hope, not just for Palestinians, but for anyone striving to create positive change in the world. For English learners, following his story improves vocabulary, listening skills, and comprehension of complex ideas. For viewers, it demonstrates the power of leadership guided by heart, intellect, and vision.